Have you ever felt like just giving up, when the weight is too much and letting go feels easier than fighting one more battle? The crossroads of destiny is a mirror, reflecting the moment we all face when hope slips away, and only choice remains. The story begins with a tremor in the heart. Aang has a vision. Katara in danger. No details, no instructions, just a feeling. And isn't that how life's biggest turning points arrive? Not with certainty, but with a sudden ache, a silent tug, pulling you toward the unknown. They return to Ba Sing Se. They plan, they hope. And beneath it all, something deeper stirs. Aang stands at the crossroads between the life destiny demanded of him and the life his heart begged him to choose. Meanwhile, Zuko finds himself trapped underground, not just in the crystal catacombs, but inside the walls he built around his own heart. Across from him, Katara, his enemy, his mirror, slashes the air with anger and grief. "The Fire Nation took my mother away from me," she says, her voice breaking under the weight of loss. And Zuko, with a softness almost too fragile to survive, says, "That's something we have in common. Two broken children, born on opposite sides of a war they didn't start, sitting together in the darkness, discovering that pain speaks the same language. It's not just a scene, it's a mythic moment. The wounded prince and the grieving girl realizing that healing begins where blame ends. But healing demands courage, and not everyone is ready to choose it." Above ground, Azula weaves her final trap, a dance of betrayal and temptation, tailor-made for Zuko's oldest wound, the desperate, aching need for his father's love. "At the end of this day," Azula whispers, "you will have your honor back." Not honor earned by growth, but honor stolen back by violence. The kind of counterfeit redemption that preys on our deepest fears. What if we're only worthy when we win? What if love is something we have to earn, by conquering, by betraying ourselves? Zuko stands at the crossroads, and when the moment comes, he turns. Not toward the future he glimpsed in Katara's kindness, but back toward the only love he has ever known, conditional, cruel, and cold. And in choosing his old chains, he breaks his own heart before anyone else can. But Zuko isn't the only one standing at a crossroads. Aang chooses to fall for love. Zuko chooses to rise for pride. One trusts that love is worth any cost. The other fears that love must be earned by conquest. And in their choices, we see a hard truth about growth. Growth doesn't come from reclaiming what we lost. It comes from risking who we thought we had to become someone better. Azula offers Zuko a redemption that costs him nothing, just obedience. But real redemption, the kind Uncle Iroh gently points Zuko toward, requires more. It requires choosing your own heart, even when it feels like betrayal. Deep below the shattered city, Aang fights alongside Katara, battling Azula, battling Zuko, battling the impossible tide of enemies rising around them. And somewhere in that chaos, he remembers the Guru's words, "The only way is to let her go." The Avatar state, the power of 1,000 lifetimes, lies just out of reach. But the cost of reaching it? Letting go of Katara, letting go of the one person who made him feel whole again after 100 years of loneliness. And Aang can't. Can you blame him? When you find love after losing everything, after watching the world move on without you, how could you be asked to let it go? It's a battle between hope and duty, between clinging and becoming. A question we all face, sooner or later. Would you choose personal happiness? If the price was your purpose, and it's here that Uncle Iroh's wisdom echoes through the shadows of this episode. Not just for Aang, but for all of us who have ever faced a future too dark to see. Life is like this dark tunnel. You can't always see the light at the end, but if you just keep moving. Iroh doesn't promise that the light will come quickly. He doesn't say the journey will be easy. He only says, keep moving. In a world obsessed with certainty, control, and instant victories, Iroh reminds us that real courage isn't found in always knowing the way. It's found in taking the next step, even when every part of you wants to turn back. Trembling, torn, Aang turns away from the battle. He creates a crystal cocoon around himself, and he begins to meditate, not to fight, but to surrender, to let go. And for one blinding, heartbreaking moment, it works. The Avatar spirit lifts him into the air, power radiating from every pore. The path opens before him, the full force of the Avatar state, his destiny, his birthright, finally within reach. But destiny demands sacrifice. And just as he ascends, just as he touches that transcendent moment of surrender, Azula strikes. A bolt of lightning tears through him. The light dies, and Aang falls. Literally, yes, but more painfully, metaphorically. Some might say Aang gave up, that he surrendered to fear, to love, to the unbearable weight of choice. But maybe, just maybe, he didn't give up at all. Maybe he trusted something even deeper than strength, the quiet belief that it's okay to fall, if you're still willing to rise again. He falls from hope, from the dream that love could save him without cost, into the reality that sometimes choosing love means losing everything else. Have you ever had a moment like that, when you gave everything you could, and still it wasn't enough? When the world asked for your strength, and all you could offer was your heart breaking open? But beneath all of it, the crossroads of destiny isn't just the collapse of Ba Sing Se. It's the collapse of illusions. It's a mirror for all the crossroads we face, the easy way or the right way, the love that controls or the love that frees. We are taught, often without words, that if we just love hard enough, fight bravely enough, want it badly enough, the universe will reward us. But the truth is harsher and somehow more beautiful. There are crossroads where every choice costs you something you can't ever get back. Zuko loses the fragile beginnings of a new identity. Katara loses the chance to believe enemies can become allies. Aang loses the simple belief that love alone can be enough to save the world, or himself. This episode teaches a brutal lesson. Sometimes doing the right thing doesn't feel victorious. Sometimes it feels like dying. Because growth, it's shattering. It's letting go of who we thought we were, and grieving the person we can't be anymore. Aang's sacrifice is raw, messy, and incomplete. He chooses love, and is punished for it. But hidden inside that fall is the seed of something real. He's no longer trying to be a perfect avatar. He's trying to be human. And isn't that the deeper meaning of destiny? Not to live without fear, or loss, or longing, but to live through them, without losing your soul along the way. The crossroads of destiny doesn't just ask whether Aang can master the Avatar state. It asks whether we can live with the choices that break us, trusting that even shattered, even heartbroken, we are still on the path we're meant to walk. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let go, fall, and believe, somehow, that falling isn't the end. It's the beginning of something deeper than power, deeper than destiny, something like love. And here's the beautiful truth. Even when we fall, we rise differently. Stronger not because we were untouched, but because we chose to heal anyway. Because in the spaces where old dreams break apart, new ones begin to grow. Paths we never imagined open beneath our feet. And the heart, even scarred, can still become a compass towards something greater than we ever dreamed. Your crossroads doesn't have to be your ending. Sometimes it's just the place where a new, braver story begins. If you saw a piece of yourself in this story, if you've ever faced a crossroads and wondered if you chose wrong, you're not alone. We're walking that road too. Like, subscribe, and let's keep exploring together.